You guys, we've got the best news that you're going to hear all day long. Inflation is finally on its way down, and we're so excited about it. We actually saw interest rates drop 0.5 point last week, and things are starting to look a little less scary. So we're going to get into it. We've had a lot of people ask us, what does the next 6 months look like? What does next year look like? So Justin, what are your thoughts on inflation, on the Fed? Let's get into it.
So interest rates are really hard to predict because obviously you and I have nothing to do with it, no decision-making abilities or influence.
Yeah.
That 0.5% drop, though, that you guys saw, that was not necessarily because of the Fed. That was because of the banks. That was because the good news that inflation went from 8.3 down to 7.7, which was more than expected. They expected it to go to about 8.0, and so when it went double that, that was obviously good news with the markets, good responses, and so as a result, they enticed some people by lowering rates.
Yes.
So, the good question is, what does the Fed do now?
Right, yeah.
The inflation's kind of on its way down. Do they keep raising? Do they not keep raising? And so we're going to give you our best bets based on our opinions and others that we've read.
Yeah.
And we'll start with Jeremy Siegel.
All right, so Jeremy Siegel, he actually thinks that the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, is actually going to flip on his opinion at sometime going soon. He thinks that his information is kind of reflected on the past, is that right? Rather than...
Yeah, they're always 2 months behind.
Yeah.
So at some point, they can start seeing the trends as it goes down.
Yeah.
And if they're smart, before it gets too bad, they'll kind of start switching courses and have to start lowering interest rates.
Yeah.
And what Siegel says is that 40% of inflation is kind of tied to the housing market.
Dang.
But yet it's the housing market that's been hit hardest.
Right.
And so if the housing market's on its way down, we've got some news that we've known, but Realtor.com officially reported that prices from June of 2022 to October have dropped 5%.
Wow. Yeah.
So really important that that's officially in writing, even though we've been telling you guys that. And so now that prices are on their way down, inflation is starting to go on their way down. At some point, he's going to flip that. And so kind of the question is, what happens in 2023?
I know. Yeah. Kind of interesting.
So what I think you'll see in December is you'll see the Fed raise their base interest rate another 0.5%.
Okay.
It won't go up 3/4. It won't go up 1/4. It will go up 0.5%. And then start of the first quarters in 2023, you'll see them raise 0.25%. And maybe another 0.25%, but then after that, they're not going to raise them anymore.
Yeah.
Now, you and I talking to Mortgage Mike with City Creek Mortgage, and he said something interesting. It was basically that interest rates aren't fully felt by the whole economy.
Yes, for a good 6 months. So for instance, if they drop rates, say, and I'm just making this up, say in June, you really won't get the full effects of that until December. So the stuff that we've seen this last summer, we haven't even felt the whole effects of it.
Yeah, it's just starting to hit.
Yeah.
And that's when rates were 5s. So once we finally get to probably December or January, you'll feel the effects of rates in their 6s.
Yeah.
And then as we get into March, April, you'll feel the effects of them getting to the 7s that happen. And so that's kind of when I think they'll officially stop raising rates. And from there, the important question if you're a buyer is then as rates start to go down, when do you jump back in?
That's a really good question.
Knowing that there's going to be a housing shortage, knowing that all these people have postponed buying and are waiting on the sidelines for it to hit bottom. And so you guys are going to have to watch that timing very, very, very carefully to make the best decision for you and your family.
Absolutely. We would actually love to hear what your guys' opinion on that. At what point with rates dropping would you guys pull the trigger and buy? We really want to know. Please drop a comment.
Is it 5.5%? Is it 5%? Is it 4.5%? What would make you get back in the market?
Yeah, so we're actually going to do a poll on Instagram, but we would love to have you guys be a part of that too. So please drop a comment. We'll incorporate the results in with that, and we'll do a video on that sometime next week. But make sure you guys reach out if you have any questions, and stay tuned for next week's episode.